These are the top 6 shed hunting mistakes that you were probably making. I have made all of these mistakes as well, but I've also gone out and found 50, 60 sheds year after year here in New Jersey, which is a tough state to find a lot of sheds in. But I have made all of these mistakes, and if you're walking around the woods not coming out with any bone, then you're probably making these mistakes too. Let's get into it. Number 1 of the top 6 shed hunting mistakes would be walking too fast. Something so simple, but you don't realize you're even doing it. Slow your roll, slow down when you're in the woods. It's not a race. The antlers aren't getting up and running away. Just slow down. The antlers are gonna be there. So just take your time and walk slow and move through the woods. You don't realize how fast you're walking sometimes because you wanna cover ground, but it's actually hurting you. Sometimes you're probably walking right by these antlers, especially when you wanna go out and shed hunt with a buddy. Sometimes I find myself walking too fast because I want to find the shed before they do, and just some friendly competition, but you don't realize how fast you're actually going. So just slow down, and if you have that problem yourself, maybe try going alone a couple times and just really taking your time and scanning the area looking for the sheds, because you might find an oldie, you might find a freshie sometimes, depending on how they lose it when they shake their antlers and it goes and it's hanging in a tree. You don't realize how many sheds you're actually walking past. I have walked past many sheds in my career, and I'm sure every shed hunter has as well. So just slow your roll and don't walk too fast. The second mistake you're probably making while shed hunting is you're walking too much dead woods, meaning you're looking in areas the sheds probably won't be. Of course, there's a probability of a shed being absolutely anywhere in a given landscape, but the sheds will most likely be in certain areas versus others. So you're trying to walk a lot of the easy ground, staying away from the thick stuff, and you're just walking just endlessly and endlessly, never picking up bone. Look for the bedding areas, look for the food sources, and look for the trails that connect both, and you're going to improve how many sheds you find on each walk. Don't just start walking, especially where I am right now. I have found a couple big sheds on state land here in northern New Jersey. I believe this specific acre of land is like 10, 15, 20,000 acres, somewhere in that range. I don't really know, but it's just endless. I could walk that way for 2 days and not hit road. So you want to specifically look in spots that the deer are, the thicker areas. You know when these deer are pressured, they're not going to be out in the open. Head for the thick swamps, the thick bedding area, the hillsides, the mountain laurel, depending where you are, obviously. Like southern New Jersey doesn't have a lot of the thick mountain laurel like northern New Jersey does. So that doesn't apply to you, but that might change. Maybe it's some thick reeds, some swamp, depending where you are. Just don't walk the dead woods. Walk where the higher probability where they would be, bedding, food, trails that connect them. Shed hunting mistake number 3, walking in a straight line. Now the sheds I placed in front of that camera, I can't see behind that tree from walking in a straight line, even looking left and looking right, like you should be doing while shed hunting. There's a reason they say cut up the woods or cut up the woodlot. Cut it up when you're shed hunting. Meaning, you want to grid search an area. So, walking 20 yards left, 20 yards right, which you should be doing. Going like this, going like that. That way, if a shed is behind a tree or a rock or a log or the sun is just glaring it out, when you come up, you can find the sheds that would be hidden from you walking in a straight line. Don't just walk in a straight line. Deer can be anywhere in the woods, and you want to be able to find as many sheds as you possibly can when you're out there. So don't walk too fast and cut up the woods. Shed hunting mistake number 4. You're simply just not focused, or you're losing focus while you're shed hunting. Now this happens to me many times when I'm out there, where the first hour I'm pumped, I know I'm going to find a shed, I think I'm going to find a shed, and I'm really looking hard, and then I start losing focus. I start looking at all the rubs, I start seeing deer, I start seeing turkey, I start seeing heavy runs, and I'm just not looking for sheds anymore. I don't even realize it. I'm looking at the rubs, the scrapes, bedding areas, and I'm just like, oh wow, this is a good spot. Look at all the rubs, this would be a great spot to hunt. And then I see a deer jump up. You're there to look for sheds, and you have to keep reminding yourself that. Now, a good trick that I like to do for myself is I tell myself, there's a shed here, I just have to find it. Every 50, 100 yards, I kind of stop and then just kind of regain my thoughts. Because if you're just walking for hours and hours and hours endlessly, and you don't find a shed, sometimes that gets to you. And you've probably already walked past some sheds, but you losing focus will just make you look directly at a shed and not even recognize that it is a shed. You don't know where the shed is going to be, and you don't know if it's going to be an oldie that's only showing a tine, or it's going to be in a tree as a hanger. So you have to be focused everywhere you go. So every now and then, just try and stop and say, there's a shed here. I know there's a shed here. I just need to find it. And that's one of the great things that I've done that has helped me find a lot more sheds. Don't worry about the rubs, the deer, the turkeys, whatever it may be. Worry about the sheds when you're out there shed hunting, and you'll find more. Shed hunting mistake number 5. You're looking for a full antler. Now, the big antlers should be theoretically easy to find. Just sitting there, wide open, in the middle of an open field, and they're just sitting there. Sometimes you do find that. And they're the lucky ones, they're the rare ones. Most of the time, I find them in the thick stuff, in the bedding, almost hidden, in thick grass, to where if I didn't step right on that antler, I wouldn't have found the antler. And when you're looking for a full antler, every antler is a little different. So you have this image in your mind, what you're looking for, and you might be thinking, I'm gonna find this, and it looked like this, and it not even registered to you. So look for parts of the antler, pieces of the antler, the color, the white, the brown, depending what antlers you're looking for in what area of the country, the antlers look a little different. But the whites of the antler, you're looking for anything that looks like a bone. You're looking for a tine, the main beam, the pedicle, the circle. The pedicle is the circle that connects to the deer. You're just looking for little pieces. I have found sheds that have been buried for years, and I've only seen this much sticking out of the ground. And I was like, what is that? Kicked it, sure enough, it was a shed. So you're looking for little pieces, and you're gonna find a lot more sheds. From spikes all the way to giant, 4 points, 5 points, 6 points, you're gonna find a lot more sheds just by looking for pieces and parts of the antler. And last but not least, shed hunting mistake number 6. You are going into the woods shed hunting too early. The deer are still holding their headgear, and you're expecting to find some sheds. Wait until most of the deer have dropped their antlers, and you will find a lot more sheds out there. I know you want to go in there and be the first one to pick up some bone. You haven't hunted, hunting season's over, and you're ready to get out into the woods again to do something. And you're trying to find some sheds. But you going in there too early may actually affect you finding deer sheds. Where you see the deer normally during shed season holding, that's most likely where they're going to be dropping their antlers. But if you go in there too early, cutting up that piece of woods, and you kick the deer out, it may bump them to the piece of woods over, 2 pieces of woods over, depending how hard you bump them, and they may shed over there and then come back to that piece where you've been seeing them, and you look at the whole piece and you don't find any sheds. Well, that's because you bumped them out of those woods where he felt safe for all these weeks. You want to wait and keep a distance, maybe go in there with binoculars from your truck, from a field, depending if that's possible for you, or set up trail cameras and just keep monitoring them. And once they start dropping, and most of them drop, that's when you can go in there and pick up a ton of antlers. But if you go in there and you bump them, that may really affect how many sheds you find, if any at all. So that's it, guys, the top 6 shed hunting mistakes. I'm sure there's more. If there's any that I left out, go in the comments and let me know some of your biggest shed hunting mistakes. There are definitely more. These are just the big ones that I know that I've done a lot in my shed hunting time. But that is it, guys. I am Mike with Obviously Outdoorsman. Thank you for watching. Check out all the other videos I've been posting the past couple of weeks about shed hunting, and hopefully you will find the most sheds this year, or your very first shed this year. And if you're new to this channel, subscribe to Obviously Outdoorsman and check out our next video. That's it. Stay stealthy.